What if you don't have hundreds of thousands of dirhams to invest in property in Dubai? No problem. You can start with only 500 dirham. You buy a fraction of a property, rental income with zero hassle, capital appreciation, passive exposure to Dubai real estate, starting from your phone in 5 minutes. Sounds great, doesn't it? The only problem is that a year later, your profit doesn't even buy you lunch. Surprise, surprise! This is not a scam. This is how the product actually works. Then, if so, why over 10,000 people queued to buy a fraction of one-bedroom apartment? I will explain you in this video. Stay till the end and you will also know why a government-backed real estate investment fund still failed in a booming Dubai market. So let's look at the math. How it works. A platform buys an apartment, say worth 2 million dirhams, and splits it into thousands of shares. You buy in for as minimum as 500 dirhams. Every month the tenant pays rent. Your share of that income lands into your account. When the property sells, again you get your cut. No landlord headaches, no down payments, no mortgage, stake, PRYPCO, SmartCrowd. All of these are regulated platforms, real properties, thousands of users, and people believe it. So what is the problem? The problem is what happens between the pitch and the math. So let's look at the math. I pulled 2 live listings from SmartCrowd platform. 2 different strategies, 2 different stories. Let's have a look at the first one. A 1-bedroom in Motor City, 1.1 million dirham, 155 investors already in. Advertised net rental yield, 6.54%. Your minimum investment is 10,000 dirham. Their own calculator says you will earn 3,270 in rental income over 5 years, plus 2.5 thousand in capital appreciation. Total return 5,770. It's there 53%. Let's start with the rent, the part that actually exists. 6.54% net on 10,000 dirham is 654 dirhams a year, minus the annual administration fee from the terms and conditions. That's another 50 gone. Around 600 dirhams a year. 50 dirhams a month. And that 2,500 in capital appreciation. The number that takes your return from 32%, that's not rent. That's a forecast built on the assumption that Dubai prices keep climbing up. But let me remind you that you are buying today, not in 2021 at the bottom of the market. Today, after 4 years of one of the strongest rallies this city has ever seen. If the market flattens, your 53% come back to 32%. If rents soften, and in a down cycle they do, that 6% quietly becomes 4% or even 3%. And if you want to leave, it's not easy, but we will get to it. Let's have a look at the second example, a flip strategy. A 4-bedroom penthouse in DIFC. 3 floors, 6,500 square feet size. They call it Villa in the Sky. Project costs 25 million dirhams. Advertised annualized ROI is 20%. Timeline 12 months. Here, obviously no rent, only capital gain. This is what they assume. The strategy is a flip. Buy, renovate, and resell in 12 months. Sounds exciting until you read the terms and conditions. For the flip product, if your profit exceeds 10%, SmartCrowd takes 40% of that profit. Not a flat fee, 40% of your upside. So your 20.2% becomes 12%. On a 25 million dirham penthouse, that still needs to find a buyer within 12 months. Look at this penthouse, 25 million dirhams, ultra luxury, DIFC. The pool of buyers for this property is not thousands of people. It may be dozens globally. And SmartCrowd is promising to find one of them within 12 months. What happens if they don't? Their own terms and conditions answer that directly. If the property isn't sold within 1 year, it will be rented and resold at a more appropriate time when market conditions improve. So your 12-month flip becomes an indefinite hold. A 25 million dirham ultra-luxury penthouse. Rental yield in that segment may be 2% gross or 3% gross after the fees, somewhere between 0.5% and 1% on your money, while you wait for the market to recover, while you wait for 187 investors to agree on what to do next. Now let's look at the track record. SmartCrowd will tell you their completed exits averaged around 12% annualized returns, and that's true. But here is the context. SmartCrowd launched in 2018, Stake launched in 2020. Every single one of their completed exits happened between 2021 and 2025 during one of the strongest property rallies Dubai has ever seen. Prices nearly doubled in some areas. Rent surged Foreign buyers flooded the market. Take this example, their own Indigo Tower exit and GLT. Held for 42 months, total return 49.5%. But rental income accounted for roughly a third of that return. The other 2/3 come from selling the property at a higher price, capital gain. 2/3 of the return dependent entirely on the market going up. These platforms didn't just launch, they launched at the bottom of the cycle and exited at the top. That's not a track record, that's a rising tide. Now the tide has changed. Off-plan resale is stagnating. Rents in secondary locations are softening. And the new listings, Motor City JVC and 25 million dirham penthouse in DFC, are being sold to investors under the same structure, the same fees and the same terms. Different market, same pitch. Now, to be fair, there is a scenario where this product looks compelling. If you have 1 million dirhams and you want real estate exposure, buying one apartment gives you one asset, one location, one tenant. It puts all your eggs into one basket. Through a platform, you could spread this 1 million dirham across 10 or even 15 properties in different areas. Diversification. And in a rising market, which is exactly the market these platforms were born into, it worked. Their completed exits averaged around 12% annualized. On 1 million dirham, it make 120,000 a year. But we just established that 2/3 of these returns come from property prices going up, not from the rent, from appreciation. So in today's market, a more realistic number is 4 to 5% from rent alone. On 1 million dirhams, that's 40 to 50,000 a year. Still positive cash flow, but then remember the exit problem. Your million is locked across 15 SPVs. Each one exits on the platform's timeline, not yours. If you need the capital, you list your shares. You wait for a buyer, and based on what investors who tried that have reported, you'd likely sell at a discount. That's not passive income, that's illiquid capital dressed up as passive income. Before we go further, I did something most investors never do. I read the terms and conditions. All of them. 14 pages of legal text that nobody has patience to get through. And what I found is very interesting. When you invest, you don't own the apartment. You own shares in an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, a separate legal company created to hold that one property. You are a shareholder, not a property owner. So getting out is not up to you. Twice a year, March and September, 2-week window opens where you can list your share to other investors on the platform. No buyers, you stay locked in. And the price you can sell at? Capped. By evaluation from Rating, a data service that SmartCrowd pays for themselves. You can sell at a discount of any size, but you cannot sell at more than 15% above what they decide your shares are worth. The floor is yours, the ceiling is theirs. One investor on Stake's Trustpilot page tried to exit in May 2025. To find a buyer at all, he had to discount his shares by 10 to 15%. Another one put 1,300 euro into multiple properties. A year later, this portfolio was worth 1,000 euro. His words, waste of time and money. If you want to sell the whole property instead, you need 75% of all investors to agree. If someone doesn't respond to the email, they count as abstain. Now here it gets even more interesting. The platform can receive fees from sellers and developers for listing properties. The same company charging you an entry fee, an annual fee, an exit fee is also potentially being paid by one person selling you the property. They are the broker for both sides at the same time. Is that illegal? No. They disclose it right there in the document you almost certainly didn't read. But it does answer one question you probably never thought to ask. Whose interest is this platform optimizing for when it selects which properties to list? You don't own it, you don't control it, you can't easily exit, and the platform serving you may also be serving the seller. That queue of over 10,000 people wasn't for Stake or SmartCrowd. It was for PRYPCO Mint, backed by the Dubai Land Department itself, the government. The first apartment sold out in a single day to 224 investors from 40 countries. The second listing under 2 minutes. And in Dubai, government backing creates trust almost instantly. But here is what people confuse. Government backing means the platform is legitimate. It does not mean the investment is good. Dubai has already seen a government-backed real estate structure fail. It is called Emirates Rate. Think of it as a fractional real estate, but older, bigger, and traded on a stock exchange. You buy shares, management company owns the buildings. You collect your cut of the rent. Same idea, different wrapper. Publicly listed, Sharia compliant, traded on Nasdaq Dubai, institutional credibility, regulation, established management. But what if I told you that in 2020 it defaulted? Not because buildings disappeared, not because tenants stopped paying, because the financial structure layered on top was leverage, fees, debt obligations, quietly consumed the returns. Investors who trusted the government stamp watched their holdings collapse anyway. Regulations protect you from fraud. It does not protect you from a bad product. And when over 10,000 people rush to buy something in under 2 minutes, that's not rational investing. That's FOMO, fear of missing out. And FOMO sometimes can cost investors much more than fraud ever did. Fractional real estate platforms are not scam, but they are products designed to make money for the platform first and for you the second. The ad is beautiful, the math is not, and the exit is harder than entrance. Before you invest, ask one question. Under what conditions does this not work out for me? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that's the answer. So if you haven't yet subscribed, press that button to stay tuned. And if you're a traditional property investor, my contacts are in the description box under the video. Let's talk.